to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Show. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms. We really want to thank every single person that has subscribed to the channel. We appreciate, love you so much. Go ahead and share the videos, beloveds, so that the word gets out. And special shout out, of course, as always, to our Patreon family. We appreciate, love you so much. You know, so much is going on in Ethiopia, beloveds. So much. And in the latest move, 2 black women. This is what is not being told. When you read the international press, the Reuters of this world, last week they released information that 2 UN officials had actually been recalled from Ethiopia over audio recordings. Now, what happened is these 2 black women, one of them allegedly, although none of them have come forward. One is a Kenyan called Maureen Ochieng. Another one, I don't know where she's from, Danina Gale. She's actually the head of the United Nations UNFPA. I don't know which one is that one. Fund for Population, whatever. UNFPA. She was the head of the UNFPA in Ethiopia. And she says that when the fight broke out, there was a lot of tug of war within the United Nations, and some of the the headquarter UN people just came in, bypassed her office, and started conducting things, started releasing certain reports about what was going on in the Tigray region, and they seemed to sympathize allegedly with the Tigray rebels, whatever they're calling themselves, and so they had this. Their names weren't given in this interview with an international journalist, where they exposed, beloveds, the bias of the United Nations in the ongoing civil unrest in the northern region, Tigray region of Ethiopia. They said that a lot of senior UN officials were actually biased towards the rebels and were sympathizing with the rebels. And of course, his name keeps coming up. But this guy who's in charge of who? You know who is? Who? Yeah. Tedros, he was also accused of being those amongst the ones who are sympathizing with the rebels and who are kind of, pushing a certain narrative. Beloveds, they can't do what they've always done and get away with it. So now these 2 black women have actually been recalled, and they said, they released a statement, through Reuters, where they said 2 senior United Nations officials, black women, let's say that, have been recalled from Ethiopia after ordering audio recordings containing criticisms of senior UN officials was released online. That's according to a letter. So the UN, I was right, it's the UN Population Fund, UNFPA. They said in the recordings that 2 women who say they work for the United Nations in Ethiopia but do not give their names tell a freelance journalist that some top UN officials globally sympathize with forces from the northern Tigray region that are fighting Ethiopia's government. Now, this comes literally a week after the Ethiopian government demanded that 7 UN officials leave the country for siding with the rebels and messing with, internal meddling. And then we saw the UN chief come out in a shocking and unprecedented move demanding proof that this was going on. And then bara bing, bara boom, this recording is leaked online, I swear. These are interesting times. We are not living in the times of before, beloveds. But this just should show you. The only reason we should even pay attention to stories like this is it should be confirmation of the level of meddling, beloveds. You see, many of us think we're at peace when we're at war. Many think we're free when we're still colonized. Many are thinking that, are obsessed with this awakening when literally the prison planet is being enforced. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be part of the Babylon system in any way and partake in the restoration of this of this planet. And Ethiopia has been trying to assert themselves, and this is huge, beloveds. So apparently, in the recordings, the two women who say they work for the United Nations, they also said that, that there was a lot of empathy, and they mentioned Tedros's name. Now, Reuters, they say that they heard the women's comments after the recordings were released online, but could not independently verify the authenticity of the recordings. But that didn't make a difference, because in a letter dated October 11th, the head of the International Organization for Migration said a staff member had been recalled to headquarters and put on administrative leave pending an investigation into the recordings. And they went on to say, the opinion attributes in the audio recordings to the staff members do not correspond with the International Organization of Migration's principles and values. And beloveds, what happens is that, and especially we're seeing it now, and as someone who worked in these organizations when I was still fully brainwashed, they give a lot of our people, especially right now, Black women, a lot of these token positions, token senior UN representative positions across Africa. And then they use these people to go behind them and do their dirty work. And, I'm sure these ladies, they must have known that if they spoke out, that this would happen. Now, they say that the Danina Gale has not, she did not respond to requests for comments since this news came out. And, the spokesperson for her, because she's actually the head of she's actually the head of UNFPA in Ethiopia. They said, senior management is deeply concerned about this matter currently being dealt with in line with our internal rules, blah, blah, blah. The United Nations standards of independence and neutrality, big ass lies, which are vital to our work delivering for all the people we serve, no matter who, where they are. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Welcome back, beloveds, to the Dr. Mumbi Show, Wake Up Africa. My camera cut out, which must have meant that I was saying something important. And of course, we're talking about the two Black women, UN officials, who have been fired for exposing, allegedly, the nefarious, the bias, the sympathizing of senior UN officials with the rebels in Ethiopia, which could explain, beloveds, why we've seen a certain narrative coming out about Ethiopia, where Biden even came out and said that he was going to consider sanctions against Ethiopia. And this just shows you how this is all generated, beloveds. All of this, the world is a stage. Everything that we see, all these, the UN and United Nations and all these, the Oxfams of this world and all these NGOs, they're literally there. They're not there to help the people. If they were there to help the people, many problems that we see today would have ended 50 years ago when they started to help the people. But these problems don't end. They seem to perpetuate themselves. So foreign aid, foreign assistance is a lie, beloveds. But there's a lot of articles. This is what I was saying before I took the break. There's a lot of articles now that are appearing that are saying that, that with Ethiopia's decision to expel the UN staff, not only could it put the UN operations in jeopardy, but we could actually see a domino effect across, the region and many conflict nations. We could see a lot of them scrutinizing the United Nations and many aid agencies that are in their countries a bit more closely. But this has been known. And is the Ethiopian government in any way linked to maybe leaking the audio? Because we did see that Abiy Ahmed, I actually wanted to share this, Abiy Ahmed's spokesperson actually came out and supported. She linked Maureen Achieng's verified Twitter account. She's one of the women who was allegedly recalled, not fired, but recalled, and sent on administrative leave pending investigation. But she actually linked the site, and then she said, she supported Maureen for speaking out against the biases of the United Nations when it came to the Tigray Tigray region, and how they are not reporting the, the terrible atrocities that are being committed by the rebel groups, but they're exaggerating and trying to force the government, to bend and allow more foreigners in, which could be more destabilizing elements. And that's what Abiy Ahmed has been feeling. And he actually came out. I think he just got reelected very recently. And he came out, and his main speech was about how he was going to protect the Ethiopian kingdom. That was his main thing. He was like, my reign is to protect our kingdom and to protect our prosperity. So much is going on, beloved. Sometimes, in this world, I think many of us have been naively thinking that we were free and we were these independent nations and life was moving on smoothly and lovingly. But if we had ever looked beyond the surface, we would have realized that many of our nations have never, ever, ever been free. And that if we were actually to move to any kind of real freedom, you'd get Magufuli. But big up to these women, for standing up and for speaking out. I'll definitely be following this story closely. Until next time, tuko pamoja.